After being hit by a car and suffering head trauma, the doctor warned I might develop amnesia. Jokingly, I asked the girlfriend keeping vigil by my hospital bed who she was. She paused before replying coldly. "We're just friends." I stared at Isabel sitting rigidly beside me, her expression frosty and detached. The playful got you died in my throat, leaving me silently studying her. Had the hospital not contacted her, I doubted she'd have come at all. I swallowed my questions and forced a casual smile. "Is that so? Well, thanks for the trouble," she acknowledged with a curt hum, checking her phone impatiently. "Since you're awake, I should go. Work needs me." Before I could respond, she was already striding toward the door. Her hand paused on the doorknob as she tossed over her shoulder without turning. "Get some rest." My smile held until the door clicked shut, then crumbled. No one knew about us. Our love story began in college, followed by 7 years working our way up from Shanghai newcomers to rival department heads at the city's top marketing firm. We'd hidden our relationship from the start, first as fresh graduates fearing office gossip, later as competing managers who couldn't afford perceived bias. I'd asked about going public after our promotions, but Isabel always deflected. Now I understood why. The doctor had told her my memory loss might be temporary, yet she'd chosen the just friends lie anyway, unconcerned about future confrontations. She'd probably been waiting for this exit ramp. The cracks had started when Ryan joined her team. The new intern carried himself with the careless confidence of Richard's heir apparent, our CEO's son. "He's just a kid," Isabel had dismissed when I noticed her extra coaching sessions. Not my type at all. But 2 weeks later, I discovered they'd connected on her long-dormant music account. Our digital time capsule from college days, 8,896 shared listening hours. Playlists bearing my name filled with songs that used to whisper us, now replaced by K-pop tracks Ryan favored. The final blow came during her London project. While I worked through lunch breaks on my own campaign, her team celebrated victories in social media posts. There they stood, Ryan flashing peace signs beside her, matching signatures proclaiming "Know thy enemy" and "Victory assured" beneath the photo. Her profile quote had changed too, from our shared verse about sailing moonlit seas to this battle cry meant for someone else's eyes. A man's intuition outpaces radar. I watched from the shadows, gathering proof like poker chips. 7 years taught me to read her tells better than my own heartbeat. The deleted playlists, the mirrored social media posts, the growing emotional distance, each chip stacked quietly until the pot overflowed. Now, lying in this sterile hospital bed, I finally saw her cards laid bare. The real amnesia had been ours all along, forgetting why we'd started this game in the first place. My name is Ethan Harper. I wonder if she thought of me when she changed our WeChat statuses. Probably not. She never returned my calls or messages, yet commented under Ryan's post, "Eat your meal before it gets cold. Take care of your stomach." I pressed a hand against my own empty, aching stomach and turned off my phone. This was the second time I let her get away with it. 3 days later, the hospital discharged me after confirming I was stable. Not a single message from Isabel came that day, though someone did send flowers, holding the cappuccino roses. I decided to give her one last chance. Sitting on the hospital corridor bench, I called her. After prolonged ringing, I asked gently, "Isabel, I'm being discharged today. Could you pick me up?" We both avoided mentioning the amnesia incident and that just friends declaration, pretending it never happened. She stayed silent before finally saying, "I'm sorry, Ethan. I'm swamped. Should I call you a car? What exactly are you busy with?" My calmness surprised even myself. There was a pause. She wasn't used to this directness, normally so accommodating. I rarely pressed like this. Our first project had just wrapped up, leaving us in the slowest period. Yet here she was claiming busyness. When she didn't respond, I sighed and hung up first. A woman's love shows in unmistakable ways. I remembered that midnight 3 years ago when I'd collapsed with acute gastritis. Before passing out, I dialed her number, waking to find her red-eyed at my bedside, wearing mismatched left shoes, one slipper, one sneaker. I'd laughed weakly. She'd trembled, tears spilling. "You think this is funny?" Finding you unconscious on the floor nearly stopped my heart. "Next time call 120 first." What if I hadn't answered? Back then, I'd smiled up at her with absolute trust. But you're my emergency contact. You're my safety net. Funny, there was a time she cared that much. A time when our love felt real. Even now, as everything crumbles, those distant memories still pull at the corners of my mouth with bitter irony. Shaking my head, I tossed the roses into a nearby bin. Don't like the flowers? A stranger's voice came from behind. The man gestured at the discarded bouquet apologetically. My driver caused the accident yesterday. I had to leave after contacting your emergency contact. Consider this a gift. All medical bills are settled. Let me know if you need anything else. I almost laughed. Even these flowers weren't from her. My mistake. I said politely. I thought they were from someone else. My lifelong politeness didn't equate to weakness. With Isabel, we'd truly reached the end. Returning home, I found her on the couch. The TV played some variety show she'd never watch. Phone glow softening her features as she texted someone. Smiling. I couldn't recall the last time I'd seen that tender expression. She didn't hear me enter. Only when I whispered Isabel did she snap the phone face down. Startled, you're discharged? This time, my laughter held no warmth. Let's talk, I said, calm and detached. Our breakup was civil. Two pragmatic adults laying bare what needed no explanation. When I said let's end this, she didn't ask why. Her silence felt like relief. After a long pause, she finally said, I'm sorry. I didn't accept her apology, calmly making post-breakup arrangements instead. My calm tone and composed demeanor seemed to surprise Isabel. When I asked her to move out promptly, she suddenly interrupted. Ethan, you don't seem upset at all. Her brows furrowed slightly as she studied my face with probing intensity. Women could be perplexing creatures, even when they've stopped loving you. Even when they've longed for this separation, they still resent seeing you handle it with grace. Perhaps she expected tearful pleas that would have fueled her smug satisfaction. Meeting her gaze without emotion. I didn't mention I'd already grieved. When she ignored my texts but commented under Ryan's social media posts. When she deleted our shared playlist to stream his Korean pop obsessions. When she introduced me as just friends during my feigned amnesia. When she and Ryan kindled their corporate flirtation beyond my sight. That's when my heart broke. She'd been like a benign tumor in my system. Non-lethal, yet insidiously draining. The solution was simple. Excise it before malignancy spread. Temporary pain for lasting health. Before Isabel left with her boxes, I asked my final question. Was it because Ryan's Richard's heir? Or simply him? At the doorway, she turned with the same elegance from our college days. Though her youthful blush had hardened into calculated poise. The girl who'd stammered her confession on the soccer field had become a woman navigating corporate tides. People always climb upward. Ethan, she said. I genuinely laughed. Then may you soar high. Isabel, may your ambitions bear fruit. Her eyes flickered with something resembling regret, dwarfed by relentless drive. Don't hate me, she sighed. Office romances curse you with perpetual proximity. The next morning, I saw her laughing with Ryan's team outside our building. He gestured animatedly while she guided him through pedestrian traffic. That familiar protective gesture now bestowed elsewhere. The taxi driver mistook my stare for secret longing. My ex, I clarified, amusing his awkward sympathy. At the office, Bella greeted me with concern about the impending promotion. It's between you and Isabel now, she whispered before hesitating. But last week, I saw her embracing Ryan. Of course, while I'd stared at silent phones during medical leave, she'd been sneaking around with the CEO's son. I smoothed the document edges. Irony bitter on my tongue. Meritocracy prevails, I told Bella, almost believing it myself. Bella sighed. I lowered my head to continue reviewing the data. When Isabel Quinn knocked on my office glass door, I was genuinely surprised. In my mind, while our breakup had been civil without ugly confrontations, that only proved I was a decent person. It didn't mean Isabel and I could casually chat as normal colleagues. Unless absolutely necessary. I thought we'd both avoid private interactions. Then I learned her purpose. Standing before my desk, her gaze lingering on me with calculated neutrality. She finally said, Ethan, I thought you'd resign. Her tone hovered between advice and warning. We were together 7 years. Don't say I'm heartless. Albert's transferring to Nanjing next month, and one of us will be promoted to director. If I were you, I'd start planning an exit strategy. I stared at her, understanding perfectly. She was certain about securing the promotion and nudging me to leave before she became director. With the CEO's son as her new boyfriend, she'd likely force my resignation to avoid office gossip. This was her kind, preemptive strike. I could accept a woman's changed affections. Love often falters under strain. But I never imagined she'd abandon basic decency. Studying her like a stranger, I uttered my first curse. Isabel, you're trash. She absorbed it in silence. My first direct encounter with Ryan happened a week later. Isabel, who'd refused to disclose our relationship as inappropriate workplace conduct, now flaunted her romance with Ryan in social media posts. Colleagues flooded the comments with blessings while our mutual college friends bombarded me with shocked DMs. I ignored them all. Ryan appeared during a routine afternoon lull, with most colleagues at lunch or napping at desks. I stood alone in the break room, grinding coffee beans. The rich aroma filled the air as his reflection materialized behind me. I stepped aside, but instead of passing, he blocked my path with assessing eyes. I know you dated Izzy, he began, the pet name cloying, though shorter than me with a boyish face. He tried staring me down, disappointed by my lack of reaction. He continued, I saw her playlist named after you. Raising sails to harvest stone blossoms. Hanging curtains to gather sea moons. Your secret romance wasn't so secret. I waited silently. My father admires Izzy, he said, puffing slightly. She's ambitious, capable, everything he values in protégés. We're dating now. But Ethan, his smile turned icy. You're an eyesore. Do the decent thing and resign. Now I understood. First intimidation, then veiled threats. Finally faux reasonableness. Cradling my mug, I replied with calm amusement. Mr. Mitchell, all personnel changes require formal procedures. Are you attempting to fire me? Per company policy, HR must provide written termination notices. His face flushed mottled red. Before leaving, I added, incidentally, Director, level dismissals require board approval. Only your father can fire me. You're overreaching. In turn, the aftermath came swiftly. When Albert's Nanjing transfer finalized, Chairman Richard hosted a farewell banquet for department heads. Bella looked queasy, placing the invitation on my desk. My protégé gripped the table, declaring, whatever happens, our team's behind you. If this place goes south, we follow you anywhere. I tapped the invitation against her forehead. Relax. Remember my motto? Build bridges through floods. Carve paths through mountains. I never lose. The banquet proceeded with practiced ease. In the private dining room, department leaders exchanged glances when Ryan appeared beside Richard at the head table, Isabel clinging to his arm. We maintained polite fiction, ignoring the elephant in the room. I sat by Finance Director Fun, navigating courses and toasts with detached professionalism. The evening's focus remained on celebrating Albert's new chapter, though everyone sensed the looming reorganization. When Richard finally cleared his throat, silverware stilled mid-air. The dinner lasted until the third round of dishes. When the small talk finally subsided, Richard set down his chopsticks and addressed the main purpose of this gathering. The 50-something executive looked a decade younger with his sharp eyes sweeping across the table. After wiping his mouth with a napkin, he announced, besides this farewell for Albert, there's another matter to discuss. I lowered my chopsticks and glanced up, accidentally catching Isabel in my peripheral vision. The elegant woman sat composed beside Ryan, their matching smiles painting a picture of perfect compatibility. I looked away, methodically wiping my hands with a towel. Richard's mellow baritone carried through the dining room. As you know, I only have one son. When he graduated, I arranged for him to start at the company's lowest level without revealing his identity. He's earned every promotion through merit. His proud gaze found me through the sea of faces. Ethan, come here. It's time everyone recognized you. The clatter of overturned glassware shattered the silence. Isabel calmly mopped spilled water with napkins, her porcelain complexion turning ashen. I rose without sparing her another glance, walking past Ryan's pale-faced form. Mr. Mitchell, I said quietly, hand resting on his chair back. If you'd excuse me. Someone's sharp inhale hissed through the room. Later, as the last guests departed, Richard's smile vanished. What happened between you and Isabel? I met his probing stare. Exactly what you witnessed. Ryan's mother specialized in stealing partners, and her son inherited the talent. I emphasized deliberately. Dad. The paternal title tasted foreign. I hadn't used it since childhood. At 7, I'd clutched his sleeve, begging to know why he and mother divorced. He never answered. Only later did I learn about his unresolved feelings for his childhood sweetheart who'd rejected him for wealth, then reappeared with her son after my parents built their empire. Ryan changed his surname at 8 to curry favor. I discovered this when I sneaked back to our old mansion and saw Richard celebrating Ryan's birthday with his mistress. Their happy family tableau freezing my childhood heart. Your mother maintained your dignity even after the betrayal. Richard sighed, suddenly looking every year of his age. I smirked. Men's nature never changes. Ryan had once boasted in the break room that Richard found Isabel reminiscent of his younger self. The comparison held. Both excelled at betrayal and opportunism. My mother kept her pride during the divorce, taking only what was legally hers. Unlike her, I intended to claim every entitlement. Let others seethe. Their misery fueled my satisfaction. Isabel had once advised, people always climb upward. Ethan, I wondered if she still believed that while clinging to Ryan's arm during their awkward exit. Mr. Lambert, Mr. Harper. Her strained farewell hung in the air as they left. I didn't acknowledge her, just watched Richard's hawkish gaze track their retreating figures. The empire my parents built would have proper heirs. Let the Mitchells play their games. I'd already claimed my birthright. Oh, same old story about poor judgment. I returned to the office 3 days later, more than enough time for even the juiciest gossip to settle. When I walked in, everyone maintained perfect professionalism. No swarm of curious colleagues, just slightly warmer smiles than usual. Workplace veterans all. They knew exactly how to toe the line. This actually put me at ease, allowing me to mirror their composed demeanor. Only Bella showed her displeasure, complaining through a mouthful of lobster at our seafood lunch. I worried myself sick for nothing. Turns out you were a wolf in sheep's clothing all along. After mollifying her with garlic butter dipping sauce, I answered her blunt question. If you're the real deal, then what's Ryan? I gave her the abbreviated truth. Her eyes widened comically. You're kidding. That fraud's been strutting around using the Lambert family name? Disgusting. She snapped a claw with unnecessary force. Half the office has been gossiping about this. Can I, set the record straight? I passed her another chunk of lobster tail. It's public knowledge now. Do what you want. Never underestimate office grapevines. By afternoon tea, Ryan's true parentage was common knowledge. Later, while reviewing budget approvals and finance, I witnessed the fallout firsthand. Susan tapped her pen on an expense report. Mr. Mitchell, we don't reimburse personal luxury purchases. Revise this and audit your other claims. The company ledger isn't your personal piggy bank. Ryan's face flushed crimson. He snatched the papers, shooting me a venomous glare on his way out, as if I'd orchestrated this humiliation. I simply shrugged, since Richard had officially recognized me as his successor. I'd been immersing myself in cross-departmental operations, far too busy for petty revenge schemes anyway. The corporate reshuffle left 2 notable exceptions to the flood of congratulatory messages, whether from guilt or strategy. Both Isabel and Ryan had been avoiding me. Honestly, their efforts were wasted. Between mastering supply chain logistics and restructuring the Asia-Pacific division, I barely registered their existence. Different worlds, different rules, simple as that. Ryan eventually broke first, cornering me in the empty break room. The same arrogant posture, but now trembling with rage. Hypocrite. He spat. Your mother played the aloof saint, abandoning everything. But look at you crawling back for scraps. If you're so morally superior, why not disappear completely? I actually chuckled. Ryan, let's not embarrass ourselves. I'm simply reclaiming what's mine. Your theatrics make it seem like I'm stealing candy from a baby. I stirred my coffee calmly. Here's free advice. Instead of posturing here, help your mother brainstorm new ways to charm Richard. Pathetic. Really, decades of bootlicking. And all she got was monthly allowance crumbs. Don't worry, though. I'll keep those checks coming. Consider it hazard pay for entertaining an old man. His complexion cycled through shades of purple before settling on corpse, like pallor. Then, desperate for leverage, at least I have Isabel. 7 years you wasted on her. And she's still mine. I didn't look up from my coffee. Trash belongs in dumpsters. By all means, keep her. The truth was almost too obvious. Ryan's interest in Isabel had always been transactional, the youngest department head. Richard's golden girl with executive potential. A strategic alliance between two social climbers. Poetic. Really. Their mutual exploitation collapsing under its own emptiness. I finally met his gaze. All boardroom politeness. This concludes our last civil conversation. Ryan, do yourself a favor. Keep your head down and your expense reports clean. My patience isn't infinite. He looked on the verge of tears at my words. But unfortunately, I wasn't Isabel Quinn who'd show mercy to delicate flowers. Standing rooted in place. I smiled appreciatively at the tears glistening in his eyes, thinking privately how aesthetically pleasing those droplets were. Isabel's resignation came as no surprise. I couldn't fathom any reason for her to stay. She'd completed all exit procedures through standard channels without my interference. Yet on her final day, she inexplicably messaged asking to talk. What remained between us to discuss? That night, when Richard Lambert publicly revealed my identity, she'd called claiming to wait outside my apartment. Coincidentally, Richard had insisted I stay at the family estate to study corporate politics. I neither returned home nor responded. She eventually took the hint. This time, perhaps viewing it as farewell decorum, she approached despite my silence. I'd always admired her preternatural composure, that hallmark of successful people allowing her to pretend our history of ugly betrayals never existed. Her calmness almost made me doubt my own memories. Her expression coolly unreadable. She leaned against my office doorway like an old friend. Talk. I remained silent as she entered, handing me coffee. We stood before floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city's glittering skyline, the nightscape resembling spilled stardust. Her sigh carried nostalgia. Remember our first days here? 5 years prior. 2 fresh graduates had stood at similar heights. She'd arrived burning with ambition only to get menial tasks. Later, clutching her alcohol-ravaged stomach after landing a $1 million deal, she'd whispered hoarsely, "Ethan, let's build our home in this city together." That deal became her supervisor's credit, netting her $70 bonus. Over hot pot bought with that money. Steam obscuring her face. I'd heard bewildered vulnerability I'd never witness again. When will we ever matter here? Afterward, I approached Richard Lambert. Though my mother hadn't spoken to her ex-husband since their divorce, nor touched his money despite unlimited credit cards, I begged for Isabel. Richard's pleased surprise at my request curdled at his warning. If she can't handle corporate politics without my help, she's unworthy of the Lambert name. Still, his occasional public praise became her career rocket fuel. I never anticipated our diverging paths. Like imperial scholars courting princesses for advancement, she embraced her version of success. Her voice now floated through time. How do we end up here? I snorted. Don't play the nostalgia card. Isabel, I understood your survival choices before. But now, don't make me despise you. She tilted her head, smile fading. Can't we even be friends? I betrayed you. You hid your identity. Doesn't that balance? Isabel. My sigh held winter's chill. Your balance assumes my Lambert privilege. Ever consider my fate without it? Watching you and Ryan Mitchell's clandestine romance while corporate pressure forced me out? My career ashes beneath your power play? When I wandered homeless through icy streets, were you and Ryan toasting in penthouses? I smiled icily. There's no balance. You'll always owe me. And I'll never forgive. From now on, we're strangers. Checking my watch, I added, you should leave. Her unsteady exit showed rare vulnerability. She chose this path. Later at industry summits, I glimpsed her climbing anew at some startup, far removed from the inner circles where I now reigned. Richard occasionally mentioned Ryan Mitchell's romantic disasters over dinners. The fool kept getting swindled by gold diggers. I don't know when Isabel and Ryan broke up, But it's not surprising that two people who came together for profit would part ways over it. Holding my teacup, I gazed at the garden bursting with vibrant blooms. Late April's spring had deepened. Another year's spring had quietly passed. Those past memories now felt like a lone boat that had long sailed beyond countless mountain ranges, leaving the past far behind.